Okay, Dr. Keith again. Here's the third video in my model anti-aging outside the box series, and I thought I'd share a few thoughts with you. I call it outside the box because there are things I'm telling you that you're not necessarily going to get anywhere else. For example, when I say discovered, I mean I learned the use of them. I've never claimed to be a scientific pioneer, but I'm certainly a clinical pioneer. I spent a lot of time doing things that nobody else dared do 30 years ago or more. And for example, one of the things I'm going to share with you in this report is a simple substance that can be given intravenously. And I've seen it get people with Parkinson's disease or in a wheelchair that could hardly shuffle or hardly move, suddenly wake up, start moving around gracefully and behaving normally. One of my patients, I gave this substance intravenously. I'm not going to tell you what it is, you have to get the report. You'll know the name, but when you give it intravenously, it's really quite extraordinary what it can do. And I had a patient who had been paralyzed for 30 years. He was an actor and had a disastrous paralysis just before the age of 30 and was still paralyzed down the left side when I took him over. And I put him on my program, and that included diet and nutritionals and so on, but also these killer IVs. I call it intravenous antioxidant therapy. It's not just chelation. With this substance in it, and lo and behold, within a week he was able to start moving his fingers. Within a month he was able to move his hand and grip things. 30 years of paralysis got reversed. So I'm not taking credit for this. This is nature and this is the way things are, but this is the kind of material that you would like to know. You need to be able to go to your physician and say, hey, I want some of this stuff, and tell them why. You don't need to, whatever the problem is, you don't need to take it lying down, okay? Another of the very important things I have to teach you there's many other sort of out-of-the-box secrets like that, outside the box, okay? But another thing to share with you is that we actually don't die of old age. You may not be aware of that, but it's important that you're very clear that old age doesn't kill anybody. People have lived to 100, 110, 120, and by the way, completely dismiss from your mind the ridiculous idea that this French woman has the record for old age at 123. Even the most elementary research will reveal people living longer than that. I'm talking National Geographic. I'm talking about an American research team under a Dr. Leaf. He was an MD back in the 70s. They found a woman in Azerbaijan and Georgia, what was then Russia, who they were sure was 130 years old, and they were sure she wasn't 140 years old. They couldn't place it any more accurately than that. There was a reputed Russian figure who lived actually beyond 160, but they weren't allowed to interview him. But there's no reason. You see, the science has got a pretty silly attitude. It's saying, well, people can't live to more than 120, and therefore if anyone says they did, they're wrong. They must be wrong because nobody does. So if someone does, their little scientific fact is wrong. But they can't see that. In fact, the oldest documentary life, if you don't already know this, was well into the 200s, around 260 years. We know this quite well because the Chinese government issued this man a certificate every 50 years or so. So I don't think there's a problem in how long we live. You may have heard of the Hayflick Limit. I shall be discussing that in this report. A man called Hayflick is reputed to have shown that cells can't divide more than 50 times, then they die. All I believe he showed is that the guy hasn't got much of a clue about nutrition, which is why the cells died. But the point is, even if he was right, if you take care of your cells and take care of your body and apply these important anti-aging principles, then 50 divisions can represent 300 years or more of human life, and that's an average. Remember, when you say an average, if the average is 300 years, some people are only going to make it to 100, but that means some people are going to make it to 500. So maybe there was a Methuselah, what was it, 900 years? Well, maybe a bit of exaggeration, but hey, what if it is possible, even with existing technology, to live to the age of 300 years and some of us to 500 years? I believe that is true. If you go about it the right way, I believe that can happen within existing technology. But of course, technology is changing all the time, and that's what's exciting. You have to stay alive. It's your duty to stay alive and well. When the next breakthrough comes, you don't want to be dead and in your coffin. You want to be there to take the remedy, whatever it is, to benefit from the new breakthrough. So it's very important you look after yourself. It's very important you get this report. Now, it's a huge report. short, as I said in the first video. There's just too much stuff. It's a very, if you print it out, it's going to be yay thick. I tried to charge what I think is a reasonable and fair price. I want to make it available to you now, but I emphasize what I said in the first video. There's an awful lot to this material, and there's far too much to just go in an ebook. You'd end up with bales of paper and you get very bored, and even if I made it in... You see, the trouble with conventional publishing is it takes a year or a year and a half, and you still got a meaty book to read. So I'm going to translate a lot of this into videos and audios. It's a whole system. It'll be like a monthly membership club, I guess. You get it in installments. So, if you want some now, you've got to grab it now, because it's not going to be available in this format for very long. I don't think it's the perfect format, but I think it is important that you get to grips with it. Get this report now, because what I intend to do anyway is credit whatever you spend now gets credited to the later installments anyway. So you've absolutely nothing to lose. Just get on with things, get a hold of the report and start applying it. And let's hope all of us who are on the list live to at least 100. Why not 120? I'd like to think we can all come and join or if you're kind enough, invite me to your 120th birthday party. I'll come and dance with you. Okay, this is Dr. Keith signing off. Thanks very much for listening.